What's up, guys? This is Mike from True Position Review, and today I am continuing the series we started yesterday. Make sure to check out yesterday was the start of a new series. I'm predicting every single NFL team's record for the 2020 season. Yesterday I began with the Dallas Cowboys, and today I am continuing in the NFC East division. Make sure if you want to see your team predicted next, drop a comment down below and subscribe. Today, we are predicting the New York Giants. In 2019, they did not have the best season. They went 4-12 and finished third in the division in front of the Redskins. Their coach was Pat Shurmur. They had 341 points scored, which was 18th out of all the teams. But they gave up 450, which came second to last in the NFL. So their defense needs some work. So before we begin predicting this team's record, let's talk about their talent on the offensive and defensive side of things. So in the draft, they drafted offensive tackle Andrew Thomas 4th overall. So obviously this year's draft was a very heavy offensive lineman draft. I know the Panthers selected an offensive lineman pretty early in the draft as well. But the Giants passed up on Isaiah Simmons. And when you have the second worst defense in terms of points given up in the NFL, Isaiah Simmons could have been the guy. But they did get their choice of an offensive lineman. There were plenty that went in the 10s to 20s, so they chose the guy that they felt best about. So he better be a star, or Dave Gettleman's going to get it. There was a lot of strong players on the board, so Andrew Thomas better be a strong Giant for a couple of years at least. I did like the draft pick of Xavier McKinney. I think he's a good safety. He was projected late first round, but the Giants got him mid to late round 2, so good pick there. Obviously, everyone knows this. Eli Manning retired, so it's time for Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, to prove if he is good or not. Their defense is their key weakness. They did not do enough to bolster this offseason. The one strong point of this team is their offensive skill players. So I know that they suffered. I know Golden Tate was suspended for a couple games last year, and I think it was either Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton that got injured. So obviously they were hurt by injuries. But their offensive receiving core is actually pretty good. Dare do I say elite. This Giants offense reminds me of the Cardinals from last year. Young offense, a lot of strong players. But can they come together is a different question. So obviously Darius Slayton, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, and one of my favorite tight ends in the league. He could be a star if he stays healthy, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram might be one of the fastest tight ends in the league, and he's always a pretty strong fantasy player if he stays healthy. And then their final player I'm going to talk about is the Penn State alumni, Saquon Barkley. It can't be understated how much Saquon helps this team in general. They won 4 games last year, might not have won any if Saquon wasn't there to help. Saquon Barkley might not have had a great year last year, but neither did this whole entire team. And with their new offensive lineman, Andrew Thomas, I believe Saquon is poised to continue his dominance with this team. So I'm actually high on the Giants offense. I think they're a really solid team, but the one difference between this team and the Cardinals is their coaching. So the Giants got rid of their coach, and they picked up Jason Garrett. That's me mocking Jason Garrett. Claps a ton. Stupid Cowboy coach. Obviously, the Cardinals have Cliff Kingsbury as their coach, and he does a lot to help that team win. But I do not think Jason Garrett is the right guy to lead this Giants team to a strong bounce-back season. The Giants start things off Week 1 in a home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this game is super interesting. The Steelers sometimes come out slow to start the season. Ben Roethlisberger is going to be his first time in an NFL season game since his injury where he broke his elbow. I believe that the Giants really do have strong upset potential in this game, but the Steelers are favored to win this game by a lot. And I'm going to give this win to the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, I could see the Giants pulling off the upset. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense is too strong, though, for this New York Giants offense, and the Giants defense too weak. I think that Ben Roethlisberger, this is a good game for him to start back from injury, because the Giants offense he should be able to pick apart pretty easily. So I do believe the Steelers come out with the win. Another thing I want to point out is that the Giants, with their new coach, Jason Garrett, it's going to be hard for Jason Garrett to, like, get this team chemistry going because with the whole coronavirus, affair, it's going to be interesting to see how different the offseason for every single team is this year. It might be shorter, and if it's shorter, then teams with new coaching and new players are going to be at a severe disadvantage as opposed to teams who've been together for a longer time. So the Giants are going to start off 0-1. Next up, the Giants traveled to Chicago to play the Chicago Bears. Now, week 2. Obviously, Chicago brought in Nick Foles, paid him a big contract, and Mitchell Trubisky, they declined his fifth-year option. However, week 2, who's going to be starting? I believe Mitchell Trubisky is starting week 2, and I believe that the Giants beat the Bears for this sole reason. Mitchell Trubisky is not the best quarterback in the league. Honestly, I think Daniel Jones can give him a challenge, and I think this will be a high-scoring affair in which the Giants win maybe like 31-27, 31-20. I think the Giants will beat the Chicago Bears in Chicago, and they'll see a tiny glimmer of hope, and they'll be 1-1. If Nick Foles is in for this game, though, then Nick Foles is going to destroy the Giants. But I'm giving them the win because Trubisky will be starting. Week 3, the New York Giants play the San Francisco 49ers in New York. So I think the 49ers are a better team than the New York Giants. I think the 49ers might take a step back in 2020 because they lost Emmanuel Sanders and Matt Breida. But I do believe that this team is still solid on offense and elite on defense with Nick Bosa leading this defense. Of course, Richard Sherman. I do believe the 49ers pick up an easy win in New York. Next up, the Giants play the Los Angeles Rams in Los Angeles. Another strong upset potential right here. I don't think the Rams are going to be great this year. I think they'll have a similar season, maybe a little better than the Giants. But I do see the Giants losing in Los Angeles to the Rams. I would be surprised if Jared Goff, didn't destroy this Giants defense. I do see like I've been saying, I'm high on the Giants offense. I believe they can score points to win games. It just comes down to how many points they're giving up. Giants start off 1-3. Next up, this is a tough stretch for the Giants. They travel to Dallas to play the Dallas Cowboys. I'm giving this win to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think the Giants stand a chance to beat them. Maybe if Andy Dalton is starting, they'll get lucky and maybe beat them. But that's like a 10% chance, maybe less. The Cowboys are just better on offense and defense compared to the Giants. I believe the Giants fall short, and they are 1-4. Now, they play the Washington Redskins at home. So, obviously, the Redskins, they got Chase Young, who is probably, in my opinion, going to be a Hall of Famer. But is it enough to beat the New York Giants in New York? No. The Redskins defense, obviously, they added Ronald Darby, which is he'll be one of the captains of their defense this year for Washington. But I do believe that the Giants will have their way with the Redskins defense. I believe that Andrew Thomas will probably be lined up against Chase Young, and I think that the New York Giants will, sneak away a win against the Redskins. So it's funny because you might not think of competitive games when you think of the Giants, but I think that the Giants at Redskins for the first time is going to be one of the most competitive games that the Giants play in their whole entire season. I am giving them the win, and they will start 2-4. Next up, they travel to Philadelphia to play the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said for the Cowboys, similar reason. The Eagles are a better team on offense and on defense. The Eagles made a lot of solid offseason moves this year. They have one of the best defensive lines in the league. Javon Hargrave, Derek Barnett, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. I think they're going to dominate the front of things. Their defensive line is going to slaughter the Giants' offensive line. They have strong cornerbacks with Darius Slay and Nicole Roby-Coleman. The only sketchy thing is the Eagles' linebacker room is pretty bad. Nathan Gary, TJ Edwards, Duke Riley. So Evan Ingram might be able to find some space in the middle of the field, let's be real. I don't think the Giants stand a chance to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. So the Giants fall to 2-5. Next up, they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in New York. I think the Buccaneers are going to be a solid team this year, and I do think that they are going to beat the Giants in New York. The Buccaneers they just have a more dynamic offense. So I do think the Giants have an explosive offense, but I think the Buccaneers, it's like top of the league. Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They do need a running back, however. Obviously, they drafted one, but who knows if he's going to be good. I do think that the Buccaneers are going to have one of the league's best offenses, and they will beat the New York Giants in New York. Giants fall to 2-6. Come on, New York. Next up, they play the Washington Redskins, but this time it's in Washington. So they had one of their most competitive games and most competitive wins of the season in New York against this team, but then they have to travel to Washington. I do think that they will lose this time, so they will split with the Washington Redskins. I believe that the Washington Redskins, Terry McLaurin, he's a really good player. I had him in fantasy all last year. I'm probably going to keep him as my keeper pick. I do believe that the Redskins offense might find some steam during the middle of the season. We'll have to see. This game might be the only reason that the Washington Redskins don't go 0-16 this year. I believe they will beat the Giants in New York. Giants fall to 2-7. Next up, they play the Eagles, but this time it's in New York. I still do not give them a chance at beating the Philadelphia Eagles. They will get swept by the Eagles in the 2020 season. If the Eagles stay healthy, I don't see many bad teams that have a chance of upsetting them. I do think that sometimes the Giants and Eagles have more competitive games than they should be, but I think that the Eagles, if they stay healthy up until this week, week 10, I believe the Eagles will easily beat this team, regardless of where it is played. So at this point in the season, the Giants are 2-8, and things are looking bad. Another interesting game comes up next. The Giants travel to Cincinnati to play the new look Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, A.J. Green, Joe Mixon, pretty solid offense, but their offensive line is horrible. I believe the New York Giants find a way to beat the Cincinnati Bengals in another competitive game. This game is going to come down to which offense scores more points. Neither team's defense is strong, not even close to being strong. So it's going to be whatever offense can pull things together. And I see Daniel Jones having an easier chance at scoring more points against a bad defense than Joe Burrow. I do believe that the Giants have a better receiving core overall as well. So the Giants steal a win. Let's go, Giants. 3-8 through 12 weeks. Next up, they have a really hard closing stretch. So their last 5 games of the season, at Seattle, home against the Cardinals, home against the Browns, at Baltimore Ravens, and home against the Cowboys. That's a tough 5-game stretch. So obviously, let's go to the Seattle Seahawks. I believe that they will get dominated in Seattle. It will be an embarrassment, and the Seattle Seahawks will pummel the New York Giants. The Seahawks are a better team offensively and defensively. Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, one of the best offensive combinations in the league. If Jadeveon Clowney stays, they're going to have another elite defensive season. I believe the Seahawks, 76-0, the Giants. It's going to be an easy win for the Seahawks. And let's count up those wins. 4-8. Giants are 3-9 at this point in the season. Next up, they play the Arizona Cardinals in New York. I believe this game happened last year, and I believe that the New York Giants competed in this game. They might have even won. I'm not really sure. I remember watching. But I do think that the Cardinals are going to be a way better team. Cliff Kingsbury is a way better coach than Jason Garrett, which gives them a distinct advantage. And I also think the Cardinals have a solid defense. Not great, but solid. They got Patrick Peterson, Chandler Jones, and obviously they drafted Isaiah Simmons, who I believe the Giants passed up on. So the Cardinals have a better offense. Both teams have explosive offenses. Cardinals are better. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Kenyon Drake, better offense. And the Cardinals also have a better defense. The Cardinals should win this game regardless of where it's played. Giants are 3-10. So next up, they play the Cleveland Browns in New York. And you know what? Saquon Barkley is going to pop off this game. I believe that the Giants upset the Browns. It might not be an upset. The Browns might be horrible this year. But I believe the Giants sneak away a win against the Browns at home. So Baker Mayfield, it's still to be determined if he's an elite quarterback. In my personal opinion, I don't think he is. I think he's a little too cocky. and I don't think that he's going to be able to win with the pieces the Giants have around him. The Browns defense isn't great at all either, and basically I believe Saquon's going to take over this game and get the Giants a win. So they are 4-10. I mean, at this point, there's 2 games left. Baltimore Ravens, Dallas Cowboys. Giants aren't in the playoff picture right now. So, but the Baltimore Ravens and Dallas Cowboys both are in the playoff picture. Both are looking to get wins. The Ravens might be competing for home field advantage in the playoffs, and the Dallas Cowboys might be trying to get into the playoffs by winning this final game this season. Giants are going to lose in Baltimore and then lose to the Giants at home, or lose to the Cowboys at home. Giants finish the season 4-12. The Ravens and Cowboys, like I said, both better teams. They will both destroy the Giants. Giants finish the season 4-12. Now, I wish I could have given the Giants a better record than 4-12, but I couldn't. I do think the Giants have one of the best offenses in the league, and when I say best, it's in terms of the Giants. Maybe top 15. So they have a top 15 offense in the league. They can score points. Obviously, they only scored 18th overall in points scored last year, but they had injuries and stuff like that. I believe that with healthy players, they could be top 15 in points scored, but I don't see them cracking top 20 in how many points are scored against them. I think their defense is lacking, which is a huge problem. Giants fall 4-12. So right now we have the Cowboys 10-6, Giants at 4-12, and the next prediction is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. So Philadelphia Eagles need to break 10-6 to beat the Cowboys for the division, it looks like. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications for that video to be released. So if you like this video, please subscribe, drop a like down below, and that about wrap things up. Thanks for watching.